Tonight, our story is called The Lampkeeper of the Old Manor. Every night, before the old manor sleeps, one person walks every room and makes sure that no lamp ever goes out. The Lampkeeper has done this circuit for many years. The order of the rooms is always the same, and the rain has begun on the manor's many windows. The manor stands at the end of a long gravel drive, set back among old elms and a low stone wall that has softened into the earth. It is a tall house, 3 stories with a steep slate roof, and many of its windows are already lit, warm yellow squares against the deep blue of the evening. Rain falls steadily, the kind of rain that has been falling for hours and intends to keep on into the small hours of the morning. Each drop finds a window or a leaf or a slate, and the house gathers all those small sounds into a single soft hush that wraps around it like a second coat. The keeper comes up the gravel drive with their head down beneath a wide-brimmed hat, the rain tapping the hat's crown in patient little rhythms. Their boots make a quiet crunching sound against the wet stones. A small canvas bag hangs from one shoulder, holding nothing of importance and a few simple things: a folded cloth and a small tin of wicks and a pair of trimming scissors. They walk without hurry, the way someone walks who has walked this same path for many seasons and who has never once needed to rush along it. The front door is heavy oak, set into a stone porch that holds the rain off for a few feet around it. The keeper steps under the porch and lets the brim of the hat shed its drops. They take off the hat and shake it once gently and hang it on a wooden peg that lives just inside the porch for that exact purpose. They unbutton their coat. The coat is dark wool and smells faintly of rain and wood smoke and the cold green of the outside. They hang the coat on the peg beside the hat. Beneath the coat is a soft gray waistcoat, a clean collared shirt, and trousers tucked into low boots that they have worn for many years. The door opens with a slow turn of an iron handle, and a deep warmth meets them as they step inside. The manor's front hall opens out before them, wide and high-ceilinged, with a black and white tiled floor that that is mostly covered by a long wool runner. The runner is the color of old wine, deep and faded at the edges. A small brass lamp sits on a console table just inside the door, its flame already burning low and steady, set there earlier in the evening by the day staff before they retired to their cottage at the back of the grounds. The keeper sets the canvas bag beside the table and stands for a moment, letting the manor settle around them. The smell of the hall is the smell of every old country house at night. Polished wood, beeswax from the candles burned earlier, a faint trace of wood smoke from the fires that have been damped down in their grates. There is the deeper smell of the house itself, of old plaster and old stone and old paper, all gathered together over the years until they have become a single quiet smell that lives in the paneling. Underneath, that is the thread of lamp oil, the small sweet smell that lives wherever lamps are kept. The keeper breathes once, slowly, and lets the smell find its place in them. From the canvas bag, they take out their own small lantern. It is a round brass lantern with a glass chimney and a leather handle worn smooth by their hand. The lantern has been theirs for many years, and they could draw its shape with their eyes closed if anyone ever asked them to. They lift the chimney and touch a long matchstick to the small wick. The wick catches with a soft little sound, not even a sound really, just a small change in the air, and then a steady warm flame stands up inside the glass. They lower the chimney back into place. The lantern's light spreads in a small amber pool around them, picking out the edge of the runner and the corner of the console table and the dark grain of the paneling. Outside, the rain keeps falling. It taps against the long windows of the front hall, against the leaded glass over the door, against the tall windows of the rooms beyond. The sound is even and steady, a wide, soft sound that does not change. The keeper stands inside the lantern's pool of light and listens to the rain for a moment, the way someone might stand at the edge of a pond and watch the water without thinking of anything in particular. The clock on the far wall ticks. It is a tall wooden clock, the kind that stands on the floor with a long pendulum behind a glass door, and its tick is slow and deep and very even. The keeper has known the sound of this clock for so long that they no longer notice it as a sound, but as a kind of weather inside the house, a background rhythm that goes on whether or not anyone listens to it. The clock ticks, the rain falls, the lamp on the console table burns, the lantern in the keeper's hand burns. The night begins. The front hall reaches up around them in its high, quiet way, with the wide staircase climbing on the right toward the upper floors, and the long runner stretching away to the doorway at the far end. There is a tall wooden coat stand near the door, holding only the keeper's coat and hat tonight, since no one else is in the manor. There is a small umbrella in the wooden umbrella stand beside the coat stand, with a curved wooden handle smoothed by many years of use. A pair of low boots sits on the tiled floor beside the stand, side by side, ready and patient. The keeper takes a moment to set themselves into the night. They roll their shoulders gently once, just to let the cold of the drive fall away. They turn their face up briefly toward the high ceiling of the hall, where a soft pattern of plaster work catches the lantern's light and holds it lightly. The ceiling is far above them. The light reaches up and reaches up and softens before it reaches the highest part. The shadow at the top is gentle. The keeper lowers their face. They look at the lantern. They look at the run of the wine-dark runner that stretches away down the hall. They look at the staircase that begins on the right, climbing up into the deeper part of the house. The night is wide and slow, and they have time. They have time for every room. They have time for every lamp. They have always had time on these nights, the kind of time that does not run out and does not run faster, that only goes on at its own quiet pace from one small thing to the next. The keeper begins their circuit the same way they always begin it. They lift the lantern, and they turn to their left, and they walk 5 quiet steps to the small library by the entrance. The door is already open a hand's width, the way it is always left at this hour. They push it open the rest of the way slowly, so that the hinges only make their soft, small sound. They step inside. The first room of the night is always the small library by the entrance, and the keeper has begun this same circuit so many times that the room receives them now without ceremony, the way an old room receives a familiar step. The air inside is warm. The fire's low coals breathe out a soft red glow that does not reach far. The lantern in the keeper's hand makes its own small amber pool against the dark of the bookshelves. The two pools of light, the fire and the lantern, meet in the middle of the room and overlap softly, neither of them claiming the space. The small library by the entrance is a narrow room, lined on three sides with bookshelves that reach to the ceiling. The fourth side is a tall window draped in heavy green curtains, drawn fully closed against the night. A small fire has burned itself down in the iron grate, glowing now as a low bed of coals beneath gray ash. A pair of leather armchairs face the fire, with a low wooden table between them and a small Persian rug at their feet. The rug is mostly red and dark blue, with a pattern that the keeper has known so long it has become a kind of map under their feet without ever being a map of anything. On the small mantel above the fire stands a single brass oil lamp. The lamp has a shaped glass shade, milky white, with a single line of green painted around the lower edge. Its flame is burning a little high, just a little, the kind of small flame that would not trouble anyone but the keeper. The keeper sets their lantern on the wooden table between the armchairs. They cross to the mantel slowly, step by step, the rug soft under their boots. They take the small brass key on the side of the lamp and turn it gently to the left, and the wick lowers itself by a thread, and the flame settles into the steady, soft glow it ought to have. They watch it for a breath to be sure. They nod once, just to themselves, just to the lamp. They check the level of oil through the small window in the lamp's brass base. The oil sits well above the line they look for. They will not need to refill this one tonight. They wipe a faint smudge from the glass shade with the soft cloth from their bag, and the cloth comes away clean. They pause for a moment by the fire and let the low coals warm their hands, just long enough for the warmth to reach the bones of their fingers, and then they lift the lantern again and turn back toward the door. Before they leave the small library by the entrance, They let their eyes pass once across the spines on the lowest shelves. Old cloth bindings in the color of old leaves, brown and red and dark green, with their gilt titles softened by years. They have known these spines a long while, and they do not need to read them to feel the shape of each one. The fire in the iron grate sighs quietly as a coal shifts somewhere in its gray bed. The Persian rug holds the small warmth of the room, and the rain at the curtained window holds its steady, soft hush. The keeper carries all of this with them, without thinking, as they step back into the front hall. Out in the hall, the rain has settled into a long, slow rhythm. The keeper turns to the right and walks along the wine-dark runner, past the console table and past the tall standing clock, toward the wide doorway at the far end of the hall. The runner softens their footsteps so that even they can barely hear themselves walk. The lantern's pool of light moves with them, small and warm, picking out a corner of a gilt frame, the edge of a side table, the curve of a banister where the staircase begins on the right. The wide doorway opens into the green sitting room. The keeper steps through. The green sitting room is named for its walls, which are the soft pale green of old moss, with a small repeating pattern that has faded so gently over the years that no one can quite say when it stopped being new. There are two small sofas set facing one another with a low table between them, and a heavier armchair near the fire, and a writing desk in one corner with a small lamp upon it. A larger lamp stands on the central table, and another on the mantel above the fire. There are 3 lamps in this room. The keeper has been thinking of this number without thinking of it for many years. The fire here is slightly more alive than the one in the small library. It has not been long since someone set a final small log upon it. The room smells of wood smoke and beeswax, and the faint, sweet trace of dried lavender, which lives in a small linen sachet placed inside one of the cushions. The keeper sets the lantern on the central table and goes first to the lamp on the mantel. This one is burning low and even. They check the oil. It is good. They wipe the glass. They turn to the lamp on the central table next. This one has been turned a little high, and they reach to the small brass key and ease it down. The flame lowers itself into a soft, round shape, the kind of shape a flame makes when it is not trying to be anything other than itself. They check the oil. They wipe the glass. They cross to the writing desk in the corner. The desk lamp is a smaller affair, a single squat brass thing with a green glass shade. Its flame is fine, not too high, not too low. The keeper checks the level of oil through the small window. It is a little lower than they would like. They take the small flask of clear lamp oil from the canvas bag and unstop it gently. They lift the lamp and turn the cap on its base. They tilt the flask, and the oil pours in a slow, thin stream, smelling faintly of the way lamp oil smells, which is a smell that always makes the small bones above the ear feel as if they are listening. The keeper watches the oil rise to the line. They stop pouring. They stopper the flask. They fit the cap back onto the lamp's base. They wipe a small drop from the brass with the cloth. Outside the green sitting room, the rain finds the long windows that look out into the gardens. It comes against the glass in steady waves, and the curtains drawn against the night swallow most of the sound. But a soft hush remains, a sense that there is weather beyond the curtain, weather that is not unkind, only steady, only patient. The keeper listens for a moment. The fire pops once, gently, and a small piece of bark falls from the burning log onto the iron grate. The lavender from the cushion is faintly there in the air. The way a thing remembered is faintly there. The keeper walks once around the central table, slowly, just to be sure they have looked at all 3 lamps from each angle they prefer to look at them. The mantel lamp casts its soft glow upward across the painted plaster of the chimney breast, where a small framed silhouette of a tree hangs at eye level. The central table lamp lays its light across the green felt of the tabletop, where a small folded newspaper sits, as it always does at this hour, untouched. The desk lamp throws its green-tinted light across the writing surface, where a single sheet of cream paper sits at one corner, ready and unwritten upon. 3 lamps, 3 soft pools of light. The room is well. The keeper lifts the lantern and steps back out through the wide doorway into the front hall, and turns again toward the long gallery hallway that stretches away from the back of the front hall and into the deeper part of the house. The long gallery hallway is the longest hall in the manor, running like a soft spine through the center of the ground floor. Its walls are paneled in dark wood from waist height down and papered in a faded pattern of small leaves above. Old paintings hang along its length, one every few paces, in heavy gilt frames that the keeper has dusted many times over the years. There are no windows in this hall, but the paintings sometimes catch the lantern light in their old varnish and seem to glow a little, as if remembering what light once felt like. A long carpet runs the length of the hall, the same wine-dark color as the runner in the front hall, but older, more worn, softer underfoot. The keeper walks the gallery hallway slowly. The lantern's light moves along the wall, lifting one painting from the dark, and then another, then setting them gently back into shadow as the light passes on. There is a portrait of a woman in a dark dress with a white collar, and a landscape with a small gray horse in a field, and a still life of pears in a wooden bowl, and a painting of a great old tree with no figures beneath it. The keeper does not stop to look at any of them tonight. They are simply walking through, the way one walks down a hallway in their own home. There is a long mirror set in a heavy frame at one point along the gallery wall. A tall, thin mirror that has hung there since long before the keeper's first night in this house. The lantern's light passes across its old glass as they walk, and a small, soft amber shape moves with them across the silvered surface, lifting and dipping with the swing of the lantern in their hand. The keeper looks at the moving light without looking at themselves. The mirror has, over the years, gathered the light of many lanterns and lamps. It does not seem to keep any of them. It only lets them pass through. There is a small console table beneath the mirror, with a pair of brass candlesticks on it, polished but unlit, set there for the look of them rather than the use. There is a folded card of pale paper on the table, set just so that the keeper has straightened 100 times if they have straightened it once. They do not straighten it tonight. It is straight enough. There are two small lamps in this hallway, set into shallow alcoves that are themselves a little surprise to anyone who has not walked the hall many times. The keeper reaches the first alcove and pauses. The lamp is small and round, with a smoked glass shade that softens the flame to the color of old amber. They check the wick. They check the oil. It is well. They wipe the shade. They walk on. Second alcove is halfway down the gallery, and its lamp has burned a little low. The keeper sets their lantern on the floor and crouches by the alcove. They open the small flask of oil and refill the lamp gently, and then they raise the wick a thread, just a thread, until the small flame stands up properly inside the smoked glass. The light brightens in its alcove, and the painting opposite, a small one of a quiet stream, comes into a moment of softer life. The keeper rises slowly. They lift the lantern. They walk on. The carpet beneath them in the long gallery is older than most of the carpets in the house. Its weave has softened to the point that it gives almost no sound at all under a careful step. Only the faintest brushing whisper when the boot meets the wool. The keeper walks at the pace of someone who has nowhere to arrive. The lantern in their hand swings only the smallest amount with their walking, and its pool of light moves in a slow, steady oval along the wall, lifting and setting down each painting it passes. There is the hunting scene with the small gray horse, and there is a little portrait of an old man with a folded paper in his lap, and there is a winter view of a covered bridge. The snow on the bridge still pale after many years. The keeper does not feel the gallery as long, even though it is. They feel it only as the part of the night where the walking takes a little time, where the rooms are not yet ready to receive them, where there is room to listen. The rain, the ticking of the great clock somewhere behind them in the front hall, the soft shift of their own breath. They walk on. The lantern's flame is steady inside its glass. They hold the leather handle lightly. Their thumb rests where many years of carrying have shaped a small, smooth place. The lantern is not heavy. It has been their lantern long enough that it weighs less than its weight, in the way familiar objects do. The long gallery hallway opens at its far end into a small landing where 3 doors meet. To the left is the writing room. To the right is the music room. Straight ahead, through a wider doorway, is the morning room. The keeper goes left first, as they always go left first. The writing room. The small landing at the far end of the gallery has its own small lamp, set on a narrow wall sconce above the doorway to the morning room. The keeper attends to it before turning to any of the 3 doors. The lamp here is a plain brass burner with a clear glass chimney, and it lives in the kind of small, low light that one barely notices, but would notice at once if it were not there. The keeper checks the wick. The wick is good. The oil is good. They wipe the chimney. The little lamp keeps its small, steady flame. The keeper turns to the door of the writing room. The writing room is the smallest of the rooms on this floor. It is a long, narrow chamber with a single tall window at the far end, draped in heavy curtains. A wide wooden desk takes up most of the room, set lengthwise so that whoever sits at it would face the window. There are bookshelves along one wall, holding leather-bound ledgers and small drawers labeled in careful old handwriting. The smell here is of paper and ink, and the faint trace of beeswax from the desk's polish. A single brass lamp with a deep green glass shade sits on the desk's blotter. The keeper steps into the room, and the floor beneath them changes. The rug here is a small cotton thing, threadbare in places, the kind of rug that has a little give to it, the kind of rug that holds its own quiet under a footstep. They cross to the desk. The lamp is burning low and even almost too low. They check the wick. They raise it a thread, the smallest thread, until the flame settles into the right shape. They check the oil. It is fine. They wipe the green glass shade with the cloth. They run a hand along the edge of the desk and feel the polish there. The way the wood has been kept smooth by many hands over many years. Above the desk hangs a small print of a country lane in winter, the bare trees holding up a sky the color of pale tea. The keeper does not look at it directly, but its shape sits in the corner of their seeing as they tend to the lamp. The rain finds the tall window beyond the curtains and runs in long, slow rivulets down the glass. The sound is faint here, but it is there, a soft, moving water sound that lives just beyond the heavy fabric. The keeper steps back from the desk. They lift the lantern. They turn toward the door. But before they leave, they pause for a small moment at the edge of the rug. They look at the labeled drawers along the bookshelves, the careful old handwriting on each small paper label, the ink faded now to a soft brown. The drawers are seldom opened. They hold the kind of papers that a house gathers in a long life, kept because they were once important, and kept on because no one has decided otherwise. The keeper has opened a few of them over the years for their own quiet reasons, and most of them not at all. Tonight, they only let their eyes pass along the labels, the way one might let one's eyes pass along the spines of books one is not going to read. The labels do not move. The drawers stay closed. Out on the landing, they cross to the right, toward the music room. The music room has a different feel from the writing room. The ceiling is higher, and the walls are paneled in a paler wood, and there is more space between things. A small upright piano stands against one wall, its lid closed and its keys hidden. A single armchair faces it. A larger sofa sits beneath the window, and a small wooden table by the sofa holds a vase of dried grasses, the kind that hold their color for years. 2 lamps stand in this room, one on the piano's top, one on the small table. The keeper goes first to the lamp on the piano's top. The lamp here is a tall, slender thing with a milky glass shade. It is burning perfectly, a clear, even flame the size of a thumbnail. They check the oil. They wipe the shade. They place a hand briefly on the closed lid of the piano, just a touch, the way one might touch the back of a sleeping animal one is fond of, without waking it. The wood is cool and smooth, and faintly warm where the lamp has been standing. The keeper lifts their hand away. They cross to the small table by the sofa. The lamp here is a squatter brass thing with a smoked glass shade, much like the alcove lamps in the gallery hallway. It is burning low. They lift it carefully and refill it from the flask, the slow, thin pour finding its line. They raise the wick a thread. The flame stands properly. They wipe the shade. They set the lamp back upon the table. They stand for a moment in the center of the music room and listen. The rain at the window, the soft, small sound of the lantern's flame, deep, slow tick of a smaller wooden clock above the piano, ticking in a different rhythm from the great clock in the front hall, slightly faster, but no less patient. The keeper has heard these two clocks together for so long that they have become, in their inner ear, a small companionable conversation. They listen to the conversation for a moment. Then they lift the lantern. Then they turn back to the door. They notice, just before they go, the small dried grasses in the vase by the sofa. The grasses are pale and tall and full of small seed heads that have held their shape for a year or more. The lamp on the small table catches the grasses from below, and the seed heads make small, soft shadows on the wall behind the sofa. The shadows are very still. They have the quality of a drawing more than of moving things. The keeper has always liked the way these grasses cast their shadows in the lamplight at this hour. They look at the shadows for a breath. Then they turn away. Across the landing again, and through the wider doorway straight ahead, into the morning room. The morning room is so named because in the day, the rising sun fills it with a soft eastern light. At night, with the heavy curtains drawn, it is one of the quieter rooms in the manor. It is a wide, square room with 3 tall windows along the eastern wall, all of them now veiled in thick green curtains. A round table stands at the center, covered with a soft white cloth and set with a few small things: a low bowl, a folded napkin, a pair of plain candlesticks. There is a sideboard along the far wall and a small set of chairs. The fire here has burned itself down to embers. The room smells of wood smoke and the faint, clean trace of soap from the cloth on the table. There is one lamp in the morning room. It stands on the sideboard, a wide, bold brass thing with a clear glass chimney. The keeper crosses the room and tends to it. The wick is right. The oil is right. The chimney is clean. They polish it once anyway, gently, with the cloth, just because the cloth is in their hand and the chimney is there, and because that is what their hand does. They set the lantern on the table for a moment and stand by the fire. The embers are very low. They take the small iron poker and turn one of them gently. A small bright spot opens within the gray, glowing orange, and then dimming again. They set the poker back. They lift the lantern. They walk once around the round table at the center of the morning room, slowly, the way one might walk around a thing one is fond of. The white cloth catches the lamplight in soft folds. The low bowl in the center of the cloth holds 2 small dried apples, brown-skinned and shrunken, that have sat there since some autumn now past, kept for the smell rather than for any purpose. The keeper bends slightly and breathes in the small, dry sweetness of them, the smell of fruit that has held its quiet for a long while. They straighten, they lift the lantern, they walk to the door. Outside the morning room's 3 tall windows, the rain finds the eastern side of the house. It is heavier here, with the wind a little behind it, and the curtains hold most of it back, but a soft, constant pressure of water on glass lives just beyond the fabric. The keeper listens to it for a slow breath. They walk to the door. They step back out into the wider hallway that runs from the morning room toward the rear of the house. They pass, as they go, a low cabinet against the wall, with a pair of small porcelain bowls on its top. The bowls hold dried rose petals, kept here for the soft, sweet smell they give to the air. The petals are pale and thin and brown at the edges, and they catch a thread of the lantern light as the keeper passes. The smell of the petals lifts faintly. It joins, for a small moment, the smell of the keeper's coat that hangs far away in the porch, the smell of the wool runner under their boots, the smell of the Manor's many small kept things. The keeper walks on. This hallway is shorter than the long gallery, but wider, with windows along one side that look out onto the back lawn. The curtains here are drawn but thinner, and the rain makes a soft, watery pattern of light against them where it catches the lamps in the rooms behind. The keeper walks slowly along the hallway. Their boots find the rug beneath them. A different rug here, a longer, thinner one of woven cotton that gives a slightly drier sound under a footstep than the wool runners did. They notice, without thinking about it, the way the sound of their step has changed. They walk on. The next door is the orange room. They turn the brass handle. The door opens softly. They step inside. The orange room is named for its walls, which are not orange so much as a deep, warm amber. The color of a flame seen through a pale shade. It is a small sitting room with 2 armchairs facing one another, a small writing slope on a stand near the window, and a low bookshelf along one wall holding old novels in faded cloth bindings. The fire is low here. There are 2 lamps, one on a small round table between the chairs, one on the writing slope. The keeper checks the lamp on the table first. It is fine, burning even oil good. They wipe the glass. They cross to the writing slope. The lamp here is a small one, almost a candle's worth of light, with a faint amber shade. The wick has burned a little crooked, and the flame leans to one side as if listening for something. The keeper takes the small trimming scissors from the canvas bag. They lift the chimney with care. They snip the small black tip of the wick, just the smallest snip, the way one trims an eyelash, and the wick stands clean and even. They lower the chimney. They watch the flame settle. The flame stands upright now, a clear, small, steady shape, and the amber shade above it glows soft and even. The trimming of a wick is one of the small kindnesses the keeper offers each lamp on these nights. A wick that has burned crooked will go on burning crooked until someone cares to set it right. And the keeper has set many wicks right over their years here. They put the trimming scissors back into the canvas bag. They wipe the chimney. They run a careful finger along the smooth brass of the lamp's body. The brass is slightly warm. The amber shade glows. They run a hand along the writing slope. The wood is cool. There is a small sheet of paper there, blank, set out as it always is, ready for whoever might wish to write tomorrow. There is a pen in its holder and a small inkwell with its lid screwed down. The keeper does not lift the pen. They do not open the inkwell. They simply note that all is well. They lift the lantern. They turn back to the door. The orange room holds its warm amber color around them as they leave. The walls in the lamplight take on a deeper shade than they have during the day. Less the color of a tea-colored room and more the color of a held fire. The 2 armchairs face one another in their patient way, with the small table between them where someone might once have set a teacup or a folded book. The keeper has often, over the years, looked at these two empty chairs and felt the quiet they make together. A quiet that does not need anyone in either chair to be itself. Tonight, too, the chairs hold their small quiet. The keeper steps out into the back hallway. In the hallway, they walk on toward the small dining room. The rain on the back windows is quieter than at the morning room's eastern side. The keeper passes a small side table with a vase of dried sea holly, the dry blue heads catching a thread of lantern light as they go by. The vase is one they have known for many years. It does not change. The hallway here has a different feel from the long gallery. The ceiling is a little lower. The walls are papered in a softer pale color, and the carpet beneath the keeper's boots is an older woven cotton, more flat than plush, that gives a quieter sound under the foot. The lantern's light moves along the walls, finding small framed botanical prints, the leaves and flowers of plants drawn in careful line and softened watercolor. The keeper has dusted these frames many times. Tonight, they only walk past them. There is a wide window halfway along this hallway, draped in pale curtains thinner than the heavy ones in the front rooms. Behind the curtains, the rain runs down the glass in steady pale lines, and the soft moving water light comes through the fabric as a faint shifting pattern. The keeper pauses for a small breath beside the window. They feel the small cool that lives near the glass, even through the curtains, the gentle outside that has come in only this far and no further. They walk on. The small dining room is a different room from the great dining room at the front of the house, which is not used often and is kept dark this time of year. The small dining room is for ordinary meals or for late suppers when there are no guests, and it has the quieter feel of a room that is lived in. A round table with 6 chairs takes up most of the room. A sideboard against one wall holds plates and cups in their careful order. A single brass lamp with a clear glass chimney stands on the center of the table, and another smaller one stands on the sideboard. The fire here has been damped down well. The embers, a low, steady glow under the iron screen. The keeper attends to the table lamp first. The flame is a little high, and they ease it down with the brass key. The wick lowers. The flame settles. They check the oil. It is well. They wipe the chimney. They cross to the sideboard. The lamp there is fine. They wipe its shade anyway. They run a hand along the smooth wood of the sideboard, feeling the old polish, the faint cool of it, and the way the wood has eased into its long shape over many years. The sideboard holds a small framed photograph at one end of a country lane in summer, the trees in full leaf, the road empty. The photograph is faded to the soft brown that old photographs take on, but the shape of it is still clear. The keeper has dusted this frame many times. Tonight, they only let their eyes pass over it. The lane goes on into the distance. The trees hold their summer. The picture is well. They stand by the fire for a small moment. They lift the iron poker once and rearrange a single ember. The ember opens its small, bright eye and then closes it again. They set the poker back. They lift the lantern. They pause once more at the door of the small dining room and let their eyes pass across the table, the chairs, the sideboard. The two lamps stand at their proper rhythms now. The table lamp easy and even, the sideboard lamp small and steady. The dishes on the sideboard are stacked in their patient way. White plates with a thin blue line around the rim. The same plates that have been used in this room for so many years that they belong to the room more than to any meal. The water in a small cut glass jug catches the lamplight and holds a small bright shape inside it. The keeper looks at the bright shape for a breath. Then they step out and pull the door softly to behind them. The next room is the kitchen, and it is reached by a small step down through a wider doorway at the end of the back hallway. The keeper steps down carefully. The floor of the kitchen is flagstone, and the sound of a boot on flagstone is a quite different sound from any other sound the Manor makes. It is a flat, low, honest sound, and it carries a little, even when one is walking softly. The kitchen is large, larger than most of the sitting rooms, with a wide black iron stove against one wall and a long scrubbed wooden table down the center. Pots and pans hang on hooks along one wall, gathered in their familiar shapes, dark and patient. A row of jars sits on a high shelf, holding flour and sugar and salt and other dry, quiet things in their proper measures. A single brass lamp stands on the table, and a smaller one stands on a wall sconce by the back door. The stove has been banked for the night. A low, even glow lives in its grate behind the iron door, and a small, soft heat radiates from the iron itself. The kettle stands on its trivet at the back of the stovetop, full of water, ready for whatever morning brings. The keeper crosses to the stove first. They open the iron door a hand's width. The bed of embers within is good, low and steady, and a faint, warm breath of wood smoke comes up to meet them. They close the door. They check the small damper at the side. It is set right. They run a hand along the edge of the stovetop, where the iron is still warm but not hot, and the warmth finds their palm and stays there for a moment. They cross to the table. The lamp there is fine, burning a clear, even flame, oil good. They wipe the chimney. They cross to the wall sconce. That lamp is fine too. They wipe its shade. The kitchen is quiet around them, the kind of quiet that lives in kitchens at night, when all the day's small sounds have settled into the wood and the iron and the stone. They open one of the lower cupboards by the table, just to look in. The cupboard holds the kitchen's plain crockery in its careful stacks, white bowls and pale yellow plates and small cups for tea. The wood inside the cupboard smells faintly of cedar, and the deep, clean smell that lives in well-kept cupboards. The keeper looks at the stacks for a breath, the small, ordinary order of them, and then closes the cupboard quietly. A wooden bowl on the corner of the table holds a few small apples and a single pear, still firm, ready for the morning. The fruit smells faintly of itself, the way a small bowl of fruit will smell in a quiet kitchen at night, a thread of clean sweetness in the air. The rain finds the kitchen's two small high windows. It taps against the glass in a different pattern from the great windows of the front rooms, a smaller, more pattering sound, because the windows are smaller. The keeper listens for a moment. They smell the faint, clean trace of soap from the wooden draining board, the deeper smell of wood smoke, the dry, quiet smell of the flour jars on their high shelf, They smell the slight green smell of a small bunch of herbs hanging from a hook by the stove. Dried thyme and rosemary tied with kitchen twine. They pause by the long table and let their hand rest upon its scrubbed surface. The wood is cool and smooth. They have placed their hand on this same table many thousands of times. It is one of the small, honest things that hold a house together. They lift the lantern. They turn toward the doorway that leads from the kitchen into the back hall. They look back once before they go. The black iron stove keeps its steady low warmth. The kettle waits on its trivet. The pots on their hooks hang in their patient row. The high shelf with its line of white jars stands in its quiet honesty, each jar with its own small label, each label written in the careful hand of someone the keeper has known a long while. The kitchen does not need them. The kitchen tends itself, the way kitchens do at this hour, holding the small banked warmth that will carry it through into the morning. The keeper steps down through the wide doorway, and the flagstone gives way to the cooler stone of the back hall under their boots. A loaf of dark bread sits under a clean linen cloth on a small wooden board near the stove, set out by the day staff before they retired, ready for the morning. The smell of the bread is faint now, only a small thread, but it joins the other small kitchen smells in their quiet conversation. The keeper has seen many loaves of bread sit under their cloths through many nights in this kitchen. The shape under the cloth is familiar, the small soft mound of it, the way the cloth folds around its edges. They look at it once, they look away. The back hall is a narrow passage with a stone floor and a low ceiling, the kind of hall that connects the working part of a house to the rooms that serve it. A door at the far end leads to the linen cupboard, and another to the boot room, and another to the small back stair that goes up to the upper floors. There is one lamp in the back hall, set on a small wooden shelf at shoulder height. The lamp here is a plain, unshaded thing, a brass burner with only a glass chimney and no decorative shade. The keeper has always liked this lamp's plainness. They tend to it. The wick is right. The oil is good. They wipe the chimney. They open the door to the linen cupboard for a moment and look in. The cupboard is deep and shelved, and it smells strongly of dried lavender. The small linen sachets tucked between the folded sheets to keep them sweet. The smell rolls out of the cupboard and finds the back hall and lives there for a moment before settling back into its proper place. The keeper closes the cupboard door gently. They stand for a breath in the back hall and let the lavender's quiet stay with them. They lift the lantern. They turn to the back stair. The boot room door is closed, and they do not open it. They know what is behind it. A row of pegs holding old coats that have not been worn in a long while. A line of boots and shoes set in their patient row. A small wooden bench. A cracked iron boot scraper by the door to the garden. None of these things need them tonight. They are well, in the way that small, unused rooms are well when they are kept warm and dry by the rooms around them. The keeper passes the boot room door without pausing. The lantern's pool of light moves with them. The back stair is a narrow wooden stair with a simple wooden banister, the kind of stair that was built for the work of a house rather than for show. It curves once as it goes up. The keeper sets a hand on the banister and begins to climb. The lantern's pool of light moves with them up the wall, picking out the grain of the wood, the small line of the molding where the wall meets the ceiling, the soft, worn edge of a stair tread that has been climbed many times. They reach the small landing halfway up the stair. The landing has a single small window that looks out onto the side of the house, and a single small lamp on a wall sconce. The window is curtained, but the curtain is light, and the rain on the glass beyond it makes a soft, moving pattern of dim, wet light against the fabric. The keeper attends to the lamp. It is fine. They wipe its shade. They look toward the window for a moment, at the moving water light there, and then they lift the lantern again and continue up the stair. The top of the back stair opens onto the upper hallway, which connects with the wider main upper hallway by way of a paneled door. The keeper opens this door and steps through. The wider hallway is grand by comparison, with a long carpet running its length and a row of doors along one side leading to the bedrooms and sitting rooms of the upper floor. and a low banister along the other side that overlooks the main staircase down to the front hall. They walk along the wide upper hallway. Beneath them, the carpet is a deeper, plusher kind than the runners downstairs, a thick wool that gathers their footfalls into nearly nothing. The lantern's light moves along the walls, finding the gilt frames of small old prints and the curve of the banister and the polished wood of door handles. The keeper has lit and walked this hallway too many times to count, and the walking is by now a thing their body knows on its own. The doors along this hallway are all closed, each one fitted with a small brass handle, polished by many hands over many years. The keeper does not enter every door tonight. They never do. Some rooms on this floor are tended only on certain weeks of the year, and other rooms are tended every night, and the keeper has long since stopped marking which is which. The body knows. The hand knows. The lantern moves with them. There is a tall mirror at one end of the upper hallway, taller even than the one in the gallery downstairs, with a frame carved into a soft wreath of leaves and small fruits. The lantern's light passes across the mirror as they walk by, and the carved leaves catch the light at their highest points, small golden glints in the dark wood. The keeper does not look directly into the mirror. They never do on these nights. The mirror does not seem to mind. There is a small hall table beneath this mirror, holding a single china bowl with a few small dried flowers in it, the kind of arrangement someone might once have made absently and never thought to change. The flowers are pale and brittle. The keeper has not touched them in many years. They are part of the table now, and the table is part of the wall, and the wall is part of the hallway, and the hallway is part of the Manor's quiet rhythm. They reach the stair landing at the head of the main staircase. This is one of the larger landings in the house, broad and well made, with a tall window at one end set deep in the wall and draped in heavy curtains. A single tall standing lamp lives in one corner of the landing, with a wide silk shade the color of cream and a long brass body. It is one of the keeper's favorite lamps in the house, although they have never said so to anyone, and they have never needed to. They cross to the standing lamp. They set the lantern on a small table beside it. They check the wick. They check the oil. The wick is good. The oil is a little low. They take the flask from the canvas bag and refill it slowly. The smell of lamp oil rises briefly in the still air of the landing, that particular sweet, thin smell, and then it settles. They wipe the silk shade lightly with the cloth. The cream silk has a soft glow to it now. The lamp's flame standing properly behind it, casting a wide, gentle pool of light across the floor and the wall. They stand in the lamp's pool of light for a slow moment. The tall window at the end of the landing breathes with the rain beyond it, the curtain shifting only the very slightest amount, almost not at all, just the small movement that fabric makes when the wind has reached the glass behind it without finding any way through. The keeper listens to the rain. The rain falls. The clock somewhere on the floor below ticks deeply through the wood of the house. They walk a few steps to the head of the main staircase and look down. The staircase is wide, and its banister is dark, polished oak. The carpet that runs down its center is the same wine-dark color that lives in the front hall. And from up here, it looks like a long, quiet ribbon laid out in the half-light. Far below, in the front hall, the small lamp on the console table burns at the edge of seeing. A single small bright point in the lower dark. The keeper looks at it for a slow moment. The lamp far below, and the standing lamp behind them. Two warm shapes of light in the same large house, holding the night between them. They step back from the head of the stair, slowly. They turn toward the long upper hallway. The standing lamp's pool of light follows them with their eyes only, holding its place on the landing. The keeper carries their own small pool of light forward as they go. They lift the lantern. They begin to walk along the main upper hallway. Their pace, without their having decided so, has begun to slow. Each room they enter from here will be a slightly smaller stop than the one before. The night has reached its deeper part, the part where the manor and the keeper move together at the same patient speed, neither of them in any hurry to be done, neither of them in any hurry to begin again. They reach the door to the blue room and pause. They turn the handle, The door opens. They step inside. There are many doors along the wide upper hallway, but the keeper enters only the ones that ask for them tonight. Each room has its own quiet, its own light to be tended, its own small, honest work. The keeper has long since learned which rooms to enter on which kind of night, and tonight is a slow rain night, and the rooms that ask for a slow rain night are the ones they go into now. The blue room is one of the quietest rooms in the manor. Its walls are a soft pale blue, the color of a sky just after dawn, and its bed has a deep blue coverlet folded down at its foot. There is a small fireplace, a writing desk in one corner, a single armchair by the window. The window is curtained in the same soft blue. The room smells faintly of beeswax, and the dry, sweet trace of dried lavender from the linen cupboard's reach. The fire is out. The room is cool, but not cold. There is one lamp on the writing desk, and one on the small mantel above the fireplace. The keeper goes first to the lamp on the mantel. It is burning low and even. They check the oil. It is fine. They wipe the shade. They cross to the desk. The lamp here is a small one, almost a reading lamp, with a deep blue glass shade that throws a soft, cool light against the wood of the desk. The wick is right. The oil is right. They wipe the shade. They run a hand along the desk's edge. The blue shade of the desk lamp gives a different color to the writing surface than the warmer lamps elsewhere in the house. A soft, cool blue amber that seems to belong to this room more than to any other. The wood of the desk takes the color and holds it. The keeper lets their hand rest on the desk for a slow breath. The wood is cool. The light is cool. The room is cool, but not cold. They breathe in. They breathe out. They lift their hand. They turn and look once around the blue room before leaving. The bed neatly made. The chair in its place. The blue curtains drawn. The two lamps burning steadily in their proper rhythm. The room is well. The keeper lifts the lantern. They step back out into the hallway. The blue room holds its quiet behind them as the door eases closed. Some rooms in the manor have a way of holding their own small weather, and the blue room is one of those. Its quiet is the quiet of a room kept ready for someone who has not arrived, who may never arrive, but for whom the lamps still burn each night out of habit and out of care. The keeper has tended this room many times. The bed is always smooth. The chair is always in its place. The lamps are always lit. The room asks nothing more. In the wide upper hallway, the keeper walks more slowly than they did on the way up the back stair. Their boots make almost no sound on the deep carpet. The lantern swings only the smallest amount in their hand. The small old prints along the walls watch them go, in the patient way that old prints watch. Their walking is slower now. The next door is the portrait room. They turn the handle. The door opens. The portrait room is a long, high room hung with old paintings, some of family, some of strangers whose names are no longer remembered. The portraits look out of their frames with the patient kind of seeing that paintings do at night, neither asleep nor awake. There is a long bench down the center of the room, upholstered in dark green velvet, and a small writing table at the far end with a single lamp upon it. There is a second lamp on the wall in a brass sconce halfway down the room. The keeper crosses the room slowly, the lantern's pool of light passing over face after face, and the painted figures appearing for a moment in their soft, warm light, and then settling back into the deeper shadow as the keeper moves on. They do not pause to study any of them tonight. They simply walk along the way one walks past sleeping figures one knows. The portrait room has a particular acoustic, slightly more echoing than the other rooms on this floor, because of its long shape and its high ceiling. The keeper's footsteps on the rug here, even softened by the wool, make a slightly fuller sound than they did in the smaller rooms. The lantern's flame inside its glass makes its small, steady whisper. The rain at the curtained window holds its long, soft note. All these small sounds gather softly along the room's length and live there together. They tend to the wall sconce first. The wick is right. The oil is a little low. They refill it. They wipe the shade. They walk on to the writing table at the far end. They tend to that lamp too. The flame is fine. They wipe the chimney. They stand for a small moment beside the writing table, with the green velvet bench behind them and the long row of portraits stretching back along the wall to the door, and the lantern pooling its light on the writing table. The rain at the portrait room's tall window beyond the curtain is a soft, long sound. The keeper listens. The rain, the lamps, the quiet. They lift the lantern. They walk back along the room, past the portraits, out through the door, and into the hallway again. They have, in their long years here, sometimes paused in front of one or another of the portraits longer than the others. There is a small painting near the door of an old woman with a folded white shawl, who looks slightly to the left of whoever stands before her, her gaze patient and far. There is a portrait of a child holding a small gray cat. The cat's eyes and the child's eyes the same soft amber. There is a man in a dark coat with a single book in his hand, the book's title too small to read. The keeper has walked past these faces so many times that they are family, in the way the smell of a house can be family. Tonight, they only walked among them. Tonight, they did not pause. The faces will be there tomorrow. The corner sitting room is next. It is reached by a turn at the end of the upper hallway, and a few paces along a smaller hallway that ends in a single door. The corner sitting room is so named because it sits at the corner of the upper floor, with windows on two sides. Both windows are draped in heavy curtains the color of pale tea. The room is small and snug, with a single low sofa, a pair of small armchairs, a low table holding a few old books, and a small fireplace where the embers are very low. There is a single lamp on the low table and one on the mantel. The keeper steps inside and closes the door softly behind them. The room holds its quiet. They tend to the lamp on the mantel first. It is fine. They wipe the shade. They cross to the low table. The low table holds 3 old books, stacked one upon the other in no particular order. The top book has a soft, worn cloth cover the color of dark moss. The middle book is bound in pale leather. The bottom book is larger, with a faded gilt pattern on its spine. The keeper has not read any of them in this room. They have only kept them in their stack, set them straight when they have leaned, dusted their tops when their tops have wanted dusting. The books are content there. They do not ask to be opened. They pause. They sit for a slow moment on the small armchair beside the low table. The chair is soft. The cushion gives gently under them. They have not sat in this chair often, but they have sat in it sometimes, and tonight is one of those nights. They set the lantern on the low table beside the lamp and let their hands rest in their lap. The rain at the two windows finds the corner of the house and runs along the glass in steady, patient lines. The sound is soft and full. The keeper sits and listens. The fire in the small grate has burned itself almost out. The lamp on the mantel burns. The lamp on the low table burns. The lantern on the low table burns. 3 small, warm shapes of light in a small, quiet room. They sit for what might be a while, or might be only a small while. There is no clock in this room. There is only the rain and the lamps and the soft give of the cushion under them. They breathe out slowly. They breathe in. They breathe out. The corner sitting room is one of the rooms the keeper sits in sometimes when the night is at its deepest. And tonight is one of those nights. And that is all there is to it. The 2 windows that meet at the corner give the room a feeling of being held by the rain rather than only listening to it. The water sound comes from 2 sides at once, and it makes a soft cradle of weather around the chairs and the low table and the small fire's last embers. The keeper lets this cradle hold them. A small piece of ash falls in the grate with a tiny dry sound. The lamp on the mantel keeps its even shape. The lamp on the low table keeps its even shape. The lantern on the low table keeps its even shape. The keeper's hands rest in their lap. Their breath moves in and out in long, slow rhythms. The cushion under them gives gently. The chair holds them with the patience of furniture that has held many people for many years. Their shoulders soften. A small, slow ease moves down through them. They are not asleep. They are not fully awake. They are simply sitting in a small room held in rain, with 3 lamps burning their patient flames. The fire's last embers settle. The rain at the windows holds its even rhythm. The clock far below ticks slowly through the wood of the house. The keeper breathes. The lamps burn. After a time, they reach to the lamp on the low table. They check the wick. It is fine. They check the oil. It is fine. They wipe the shade. They lift the lantern. They rise from the chair slowly, the way one rises from a chair when there is no need to rise quickly. They cross to the door. Before they step out, they turn at the door and look once more across the corner sitting room. The two armchairs, the small low sofa, the low table with its old books, the small fireplace with its almost out embers, the two lamps holding their soft rhythms, the rain at the two windows, a small room well tended. The keeper holds the picture of it for a breath, the way one holds the picture of a thing one is leaving knowing one will return. Then they step out and pull the door softly to behind them. Out in the small hallway, they pause. They are aware now of how the night has settled around them. There is no other sound in the manor but the rain at the windows and the slow tick of the clock somewhere far below, and the soft, small sound of their own breathing. Their walking is slower than it was an hour ago. They are aware of this without minding it. They step back along the small hallway and into the wider upper hallway. They walk along it slowly toward the small door at the far end that leads to the attic stair. There is one more room tonight, the small attic library. The attic stair is narrower than the back stair and steeper and made of wood that gives a soft, small creak under a careful step. The keeper sets a hand on the simple banister and begins to climb. The lantern's pool of light moves with them up the wall. The wood smells faintly of dust and the old smell of the eaves, the dry smell of beams that have stood for many years. They climb slowly. Each tread takes a breath. The walls along this stair are bare, papered in a faded pattern that has long since stopped being any color in particular. There is no rail along the wall side, only the simple banister to their right. Their hand on the wood is light. The wood is warm where many hands have rested on it over the years, smoothed at the curves where the stair turns. The roof is closer here than anywhere else in the manor. They can hear the rain on the slates above more clearly than they could in any of the rooms below. The sound is full and steady, a wider rain sound than the rain at any single window. Halfway up the stair, they pause. They listen. Below them, the manor holds its quiet, the rain on its many windows, the lamps in their many rooms, the slow tick of the great clock now far below. They breathe. They climb on. A small wooden step gives a tiny soft creak under their boot. They pause until the small sound has finished, and then they take the next step. They are not in any hurry. They have not been in any hurry all night. They will not be in any hurry now. The stair ends at a small wooden door. The keeper turns the simple iron handle. The door opens. They step into the small attic library. The small attic library is the smallest room in the manor. It is tucked under the slope of the roof, with a low-beamed ceiling and a single small dormer window set into one wall. Its 3 remaining walls are lined with bookshelves, low and deep, holding old volumes in faded cloth and leather. A small wooden chair sits beside the dormer window, and a small wooden table beside the chair, and on the table is a single small brass lamp with a plain glass chimney. The keeper stands at the door for a small moment and lets the room be quiet around them. The smell here is the smell of old books, the deep papery smell that lives in attic libraries and nowhere else. A smell that belongs only to old paper and old cloth and the still air of a small room under a roof. It is the smell of a great many quiet years gathered together. The ceiling slopes low on either side, following the slope of the roof above. A heavy beam runs across the center of the room, dark with age, with a few small marks along its underside where someone, long ago, made notes in pencil and then forgot them. The keeper has read these marks once or twice over the years and has not been able to make sense of them. They do not need to make sense of them. The marks are part of the beam now. The beam is part of the room. They step inside. The floor here is bare wood, polished smooth by many years and many soft footsteps. The lantern's light moves along the rows of books, catching the pale gold of an old title here, the dark green of a faded spine there, the soft brown of old leather. They cross to the table. The single lamp is burning low, even and clean. They check the wick. It is fine. They check the oil. It is good. They wipe the chimney. They set the lantern on the table beside the lamp. They sit on the small wooden chair beside the dormer window. The chair is plain and a little hard, but the chair has held them many times, and they know the shape it makes for them. They settle into it slowly. The chair gives the smallest soft creak as it takes their weight. The sound passes. The keeper's feet rest flat on the bare wood floor. Their hands rest in their lap. Their back finds the simple back of the chair. They are settled. The rain finds the small dormer window. The window is at face height when one is sitting in this chair, and the keeper can see the rain running down the glass in small pale lines, lit faintly by the lamp's glow on the inside. Beyond the rain, the night is dark and soft. The window is too small for curtains. Only a thin, pale fabric is draped across its top, more for the sake of having something there than to keep out the dark. They sit. The two flames on the table burn quietly side by side. The lamp's flame and the lantern's flame. They are very close. They make a single small pool of warm amber light around the keeper. The rain falls. The slow tick of the great clock far below comes faintly up through the floors and the beams of the house, but it is hardly a sound here, more like a slow heartbeat that one notices only when one is very still. The keeper is very still. They breathe in slowly. They breathe out slowly. They look at the small line where the lamp's flame meets the inside of the chimney, the bright, clean point where the burning is happening. A small thought rises. It is the kind of small thought one has in attic libraries at night. They let it rise. They let it pass. The rain falls. A book on the lowest shelf nearest the window catches a thread of lamp light along its faded gilt title. thread of light is small. It does not move. Outside the small window, the dark is a soft thing, full of rain and full of trees the keeper cannot see and cannot need to see. The trees are there. The rain is there. They look at the lamp. The wick is good. The oil is good. A drop of rain finds the very top of the dormer glass, runs down a slow line, and joins the small pale river already running there. They set their hands in their lap. They look at the lamp. The chair holds them. The room holds them. The manor holds them. The rain, the lamp, the slow, soft tick of the great clock far below, just at the edge of hearing. They breathe in. They breathe out. Their shoulders soften. Their hands soften. The small space between their eyebrows softens. The lamp burns. The rain falls. They listen. Below them in the manor, all the lamps they have tended through the night are burning quietly in their proper rhythm. They cannot see them, but they can feel them. The small, warm shapes of light spread through the rooms of the house, each one keeping its own small place. The keeper does not count them. They do not need to. The shapes are there. They have been tended. They will burn through the deep middle of the night and into the soft beginning of the morning, when the day staff will come up the gravel drive and lift each one by one, in their careful order, leaving only the small embers and the still patient rooms. For now, the keeper holds the picture of the manor in a soft, loose way, more a feeling than a picture. Each room is well. Each lamp is well. Each rug, each chair, each fire low in its grate, each small drawer of careful old papers, each stack of plates in its cupboard. All well. The small library by the entrance. The lamp burns. The green sitting room. The 3 lamps burn. The long gallery hallway. The 2 lamps burn. The writing room. The lamp burns. The music room. The 2 lamps burn. The morning room, the lamp burns. The orange room, the 2 lamps burn. The small dining room, the 2 lamps burn. The kitchen, the 2 lamps burn. The back hall, the lamp burns. The stair landing, the standing lamp burns. The blue room, the 2 lamps burn. The portrait room, the 2 lamps burn. The corner sitting room, the 2 lamps burn. The small attic library, the lamp burns. The keeper sits in the chair by the dormer window. The rain runs down the glass. The lamp on the small table burns. The lantern beside it burns. They breathe in. They breathe out. Time moves softly. The flame of the small lamp on the table holds its shape. The glass chimney is clean. The lantern's flame is steady inside its own glass. The 2 flames are very close to one another. The rain finds the dormer glass. The clock far below ticks. The keeper sits. They are not thinking of anything in particular. The lamp burns. The rain. The lamp. The rain. A small breath in, a small breath out. The small attic library is very quiet now. The smell of old paper, the smell of lamp oil, the faint trace of wood smoke from many floors below. The small line where the flame meets the inside of the chimney holds its bright, still point. The wick is good. The oil is good. The keeper closes their eyes for a slow moment. They open them again. The lamp is still burning. The rain is still falling. They close their eyes. The lamp burns behind their eyelids as a soft, warm shape, a small, remembered amber. They open their eyes. The flame is there, the same as before. A small piece of wood somewhere in the eaves of the roof shifts slightly with the cool of the night. a small, soft creak that lives for a breath and then passes. The rain is the lamp. The keeper sits. Their hands rest in their lap. Their feet rest on the bare wood floor. Their back rests against the chair. The flame holds. The chimney is clean. The oil is good. A long, slow breath. Another long, slow breath. The rain runs down the glass. The lamp burns. The keeper does not need to do anything more tonight. The circuit is complete. Every room is well. Every lamp is well. The house is well. They sit with this knowing without thinking it. The flame on the small lamp on the table beside them holds its clear, small shape. The lantern's flame holds its clear, small shape. The two flames together make one slightly larger pool of warm amber light around the chair. The light does not reach the far walls. It does not need to. The flame burns lower a little, settles into its quietest, steady shape, the kind of shape a flame takes when the night is at its deepest and the air is at its stillest. The rain has eased a little, perhaps, or perhaps it has not. The sound is softer at the dormer window than it was at the great windows of the rooms below. The clock far below ticks. The keeper breathes. The lamp burns. A small thought, very quiet, comes and goes. They do not catch it. They do not need to. The chair holds them. The room holds them. The flame holds. They look at the lamp. The light sits in the chimney as a clear, small, still shape. The way a small, still shape can hold a whole night together. The rain is the lamp, a breath, a breath. They look at their hands resting in their lap. Their hands are quiet. The thumbs do not move. The fingers are soft. The skin on the back of the hands is faintly warm where the lamp's heat reaches. The rain, the lamp, the clock far below, very faint now, softer even than the rain, a slow pulse beneath everything else. The keeper sits. The lamp burns. A long, slow breath in. A long, slow breath out. The room is very quiet. The flame is very still. Outside the small dormer window, the rain falls into the dark trees the keeper cannot see. The trees are there. The dark is there. The rain finds them. The night holds them. The keeper sits in the small wooden chair beside the small dormer window. The lamp on the small table burns. The lantern beside it burns. The two flames are very close. A breath in, a breath out. The small attic library is very quiet. The rain, the lamp, the lamp, the rain. The keeper's eyelids feel a little heavy. They do not fight this. They let the heaviness come. The flame holds. The chimney is clean. The oil is good. The wick is good. The night is good. They lean back very softly against the small wooden chair. The chair takes their weight without a sound. The lamp burns. The rain runs down the dormer glass in long, slow lines. The clock far below ticks once, and again, and again. A small, soft sound. The lantern on the table shifts faintly as a cool draft from somewhere finds the eaves and passes through. The flame inside the lantern dips for the smallest moment, then rights itself. The keeper notices without moving. The lamp on the table is steady. The rain, the lamp, a breath. The keeper's eyes drift to the lowest shelf nearest the window, where the thread of gold has held its small light all this while. The thread is still there. It has not moved. Their eyes drift back to the lamp, the flame, the clean, clear point, the breath, the rain. The room around them grows softer. The walls feel a little farther away. The shelves feel a little farther away. The dormer window feels a little farther away. The lamp does not feel farther. The lamp is close. The wick is good. The oil is good. A slow breath. The keeper does not think of the rooms below. They are well. The keeper does not think of the rooms ahead. There are no rooms ahead. There is only this room, and this chair, and this lamp. A breath in, a breath out, a breath in, a breath out. The lamp burns, the rain falls, the night holds. The lamp, the rain, the breath. A small warmth lives in the keeper's hands. Their hands are quiet in their lap. The warmth is from the lamp. The warmth is from the chair. The warmth is from being inside in a warm house in the rain. The lamp burns. The rain falls. A long, slow breath. The night is very deep now. The keeper sits. The flame holds its small, clean shape. The keeper's eyes are softer than they were. The room is softer. The lamp is steady. The rain is steady. The keeper's eyelids settle. They do not close fully. They settle. The flame, the lamp, the rain, the breath. A slow, small ease moves through the keeper, a softening that asks nothing and offers nothing, only is. The night holds. The lamp burns. The rain falls. The keeper sits. The flame is small and clean. The wick is good. The oil is good. The keeper's hands are still. The flame holds. The night holds. The rain falls. the lamp